Hey guys, Engineer Wannabe here. Hope you guys are doing really well tonight. I'm joined by my really good friends Keith and Clayton. It's really good to see you guys here as well. I just made it. So the
I
story, the,
noticed.
the story was I got ready. I got out. I put my kids to bed really early. It was 8 o'clock. Got over here to set up, and my phone started buzzing like crazy, telling me that there's moisture in the charging port and to dry it
Oh,
out. And I'm not sure what happened, but my phone is actually my camera, so it was a
Mm.
huge problem. But I figured out a way to wirelessly connect, so hopefully this works out. There is a little latency, more latency than normal, but I'm okay with that. If it's okay with you guys as well. But yeah, fun evening trying to get going. But yeah, how are you guys? How are you, Clayton?
doing
Good to
well.
see
I've
you.
had that happen with the port before. It's super frustrating.
Yeah,
And it happened to me one time and I did not get it. It was not wet at all. It was not, I didn't have it near moisture. Didn't have it outside. It's just you try to charge it and just want to throw it across the room, like being in
yeah,
like you in a car accident or something.
yeah, yeah,
Lots of frustration, but now we're doing okay. Like I was telling you guys before we went live, we're getting ready, battening down the hatches for Hurricane Henri. So we're hoping everybody stays safe tomorrow, and we don't lose power and
yeah.
and all that, and just hoping for a hunkered down day where nothing bad happens and we're all healthy. So
Yeah, hopefully all goes well. Hopefully it
yep.
doesn't affect you guys as much. And hopefully you're able to make it to watch suit.
I hope so. That was my one condition. That's the catch.
Yeah. Yeah.
May not have power.
Yeah. Bobby, good to see you as well. How's it
Hello.
going?
Hi.
Not bad.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, before I ask you how you're doing, Bobby, Clayton, what's on your wrist?
I am wearing my new to me Seiko SLA 053. This isn't even
Oh,
released yet. It's I don't know if they were supposed to sell it to me. It's not for sale online at all. When I bought it yesterday, there were not even any articles about it. I was like, is this what is up with this watch? And now they're on a blog to watch has articles. So it's a Marine Master 300. It's the Sagaiha. I am probably butchering that, or Blue Wave. I have a scroll here, and you can look at the article. This symbol, the blue wave pattern, it has a lot of meaning in Japanese culture. So there's two releases. There's this one, which is limited to 500, and then they're making a burgundy dial that's actually on bracelet, and that's a normal production run. It comes with cufflinks,
yeah.
which I thought was an odd choice with a blue watch. It's absolutely beautiful. It's you have to catch the dial in the right light to capture those wave patterns. But I saw that watch, and I owned the SLA 023, and I thought it was a bit. I I have a weakness for Seiko dials, and I just had to pick it up. So
Yeah. Yeah, it's a really beautiful watch. I'm really
thank you.
curious to see the burgundy dial as well. That would be super cool to see because burgundy is my favorite color. So
Oh yeah.
um
It
yeah,
looks really too. It really looks nice, and yeah, that one does come on the bracelet. If people want, it has a ratcheting clasp. I would probably take it off and put it on some sort on the supplied silicone strap anyway. But there is a
yeah.
bracelet option with that one.
And this is US exclusive, right?
Yes, U.S.
Yeah.
exclusive. And yeah, it says August 2021. They had just got it into my shop the day before. He knew nothing about it. He hadn't had a chance to even really look at it. He just gave me the box. He gave me a bunch of boxes to open. So it was like Christmas. I was just going through all these boxes there, and yeah, they're super casual. But they had, they had many. I showed you some pictures. Got to check out a whole lot of the enthusiast Seiko models, and that was really cool.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, I got the sharp edge GMTs were really. I was surprised by how much I like them. Just
Yeah.
beautifully done, and every iteration of the Willard Umura. Is that how you pronounce it?
Uemura?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was like I told you, I would have bought the blue one didn't line up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a bummer. But
Yeah.
oh man, they're so cool. I really like the Wimuras. I ah I just couldn't pull it off. Kind of like the 45 millimeter SLA. I forget the reference number. SLA 019.
Yeah.
One of the reissues, the turtle reissue, Willard.
Hmm.
I couldn't pull that one off. I was so close to pulling the trigger on that one too, but
Yeah,
yeah,
they actually they wear better on me than your standard turtle.
really,
Yeah, my wife was with me and she thought the Willards all wore nice on me, but I tried on the new Patty turtle
yeah,
and she's like, "That's huge." And I was like, "Oh wow, I've owned many turtles, so weird, but oh
yeah,
well."
yeah. Well, let's put a pin on that and get back to it. But Bobby, how are you doing? What's on your wrist? Are you recovered? Are you are you
Yes.
feeling rested?
Not really, but I just came back from a farmer's market, actually.
Oh,
Oh,
Keith.
really?
really?
Yes. So it was inside a mall, though, but it was like a pseudo farmer's market, but it was
Well,
Yeah.
fun.
you know what's crazy is randomly yesterday, my coworker asked me, he's like, do you ever go to farmers markets? I'm like, what? He's like, oh yeah, this farmers market, blah blah blah. I'm like, man, what? I'm like,
It's,
No, he
it's like you throw
actually
off that farmer's market vibe or something.
they actually watch the stream and they
yeah,
know
I guess
they're
so.
messing with you.
So
Yeah,
I have the Doxa with me. Doxa
nice.
sub
Oh,
300
beautiful.
on the beads of rice.
Are you just getting back from a shift or?
Yeah, it was in the morning. Like I
Oh, late.
rested a little bit. Yep, it came in the
Yeah,
afternoon a little late. So yep.
yeah. Sounds good. How are you, Keith? What's on your
Good.
wrist?
Same as last week. Laurier Neptune.
Nice.
Beautiful.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah. Have you been to any watch stores this week?
No, not this week.
No. Alrighty.
Oh,
Let's.
it's by the way, it's cool meeting Clayton for the first time. I'm a fan
Yeah,
of his podcast.
thank
Oh,
you. Thank you.
cool.
Yeah, great to be on with you both.
Yeah.
And you,
Yeah.
Sanjay, of course, as well.
Yeah. It's good to have you on here. It feels like we chat all the time. So I didn't even introduce you. So this is Clayton. Everyone in the chat from the Watchdog podcast. You guys should go check out the Watchdog podcast. There's a link in the description. He is as neurotic as I am. And so the Watch Dog podcast, the podcast is actually really entertaining for me to listen to because I can relate almost 100% with Clayton, everything he talks about. So yeah, very very enjoyable. He just had Pete from Not So Obvious Watches on, so great episode. Jeff McMahon was on there too. You guys are doing yourself a disservice if you're not listening
Oh,
to it.
thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well,
You know,
let's say hi.
my favorite thing about real quick, that my favorite thing about the Jeff McMahon episode is when he was worried about scratching his tutor, and I think it was Clayton that said like, "Oh, don't worry, you know, you get scratches, the bezel will patina," and that made it worse for him. He's like, I don't want that to happen."
Well, that actually, I think I had told you, or I even said on the podcast that we recorded one and then his internet failed and it just didn't work out. That's where we had talked about that. So we recorded that on a Thursday, and by the time Sunday came around when we re-recorded, he'd already sold it because I had mentioned the fading aluminum bezel, which was just the thought of that was just like too much for him. So
That's hilarious. I forgot to do a wristwatch check myself.
yes,
I am wearing the Seiko SPB 213 again. Um, so there it is. I put it on this strap real quick to check it out, and then I don't know if it goes. I don't know if I like it.
Is that a Hirsch strap?
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
It's the one I had the Nectin on.
It
I
looks
I
better on the
tried it.
neck did.
Yeah.
Yeah. I tried it on, and then I found the issue with my phone, so it kind of stayed on.
The watch is beautiful though. I like the watch.
Yes, it
Yeah.
is.
Beautiful.
Yeah. But yeah, apologies about the strap. I know it doesn't look the greatest. All right, guys. So checking in with the chat, we've got Bill K. Good to see you. Good evening. Marcus as well. Hey, thanks for joining us, man. Yes, commenting on the thumbnail, SPGY 007 is a beautiful watch. Keith, freshly back from a farmer's
hey.
market.
Yep.
It's good to see you.
Here I am.
Wilson, hey man, how's it going? Joe, Sylvia, good to see you, sir. Ken Spear, hey man, hope you're doing well. Caliber YQG from Atlantic, Canada, good to see you. Peter C, hey, how's it going? Nate Saltis, I hope I'm saying that right. Good to see you. Leah, good to see you. Aichi on the wrist, very nice. Cool. Bobby Legs is here too. Hey Bobby, how's it going? Nilo, good to see you. Bobby, the $5 fine Bobby. There he is. Thank you, sir. That's really kind of you.
I should drop off more often.
Let's see. Meznine, good to see you. Chia Ming, sorry, Leia. If burgundy is your favorite color, you must check out Maurice Grossman Primavera Burgundy Dial. I will have to look into that. I'm not familiar with Moritz Grossman. I've heard them, but them, but never really seen it in person. Derek, good to see you as well. Had to sell the tutor after 3 people mistook it for an Invicta Pro Diver. Whoa.
Wow.
It was a Black Pelagos, and thank our Lord, my neighbor took it off my hands. Life is better without it. That is strange. I mean, wow. I you need some new friends, man. Just joking. That's yeah. I wouldn't mistake a tutor for pro diver. MTB Mike, good to see you. Bruce, how's it going? Good to see you, man. Hey, Withered Manscape is here. Good to see you, man. Keith did your trial at the dragon fruit making its way in recently. Dragon fruit. Oh, I love dragon fruit. It's like a giant kiwi, to me at least.
I don't think I've had one.
No, wait, no, it's not like a kiwi. Never mind. Broke Watchman. Good to see you. Fatal Fred. Oh, sorry. I'm thinking of Young Excellency. Sorry, Caliber YQG. Young Excellency is from Atlantic, Canada. He might not be here right now. But yeah, because you guys have initials or letters at the end. I kind of sorry. Kevin S, good to see you, sir. Oil Money, good to see you as well, sir. Slow going on the Appalachian Trail today. That's good. I didn't realize it took that long to trek through the Appalachian Trail. I don't even really know what an Appalachian Trail is. But yeah, it goes to show. All right, guys. So that's it. So for tonight, I was thinking of talking about a few more petty watch obsessions, but this time from those who commented in last week's stream. I had mentioned or I had said that if you guys wanted to talk about it, just leave a comment. And there was quite a few people who put in petty watch obsessions. So I have my handy dandy printout here with all the comments, so I'm not fumbling around online. Okay, so I'm going to go through a couple and we can maybe talk about it as well. Matthew Hill mentioned that I obsess over a speck of dust under the crystal or on top of the dial. I swear I could go over the recent luxury purchases I made in the past 2 years that have been ruined by one tiny little speck. Drives me nuts. I don't think that's a petty watch obsession. I think if there's dust under your crystal or on the dial, that's a significant concern or reasonable cause for complaint. What do you guys think?
I sent my Weiss back for
Right.
just that. There were like 3 different specs, navy blue dial. You could see them clear as day, and that's always where my eye went. So, yep, it was covered under warranty. So I sent it back. Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't think that's unreasonable or ridiculous obsession to have. I had a Seiko that I had to get rid of as well that had dust under the crystal. How about you guys, Bobby, Keith?
I've never had a modern watch with a dust speck of dust, but I would agree with both of you guys saying that that would cause a lot of concern,
Yeah.
sleepless nights.
Yeah.
But I think the other thing would be vintage watches. I would probably say it might be a little more acceptable. I had a lot
Yeah.
of vintage Speedies from the '60s that had like loom plots, and maybe it may have been re-loomed, and some of the dust or particles came out. Um, that wasn't as bad, but like a dust in a modern piece definitely would be cause for concern.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Do you have
thankfully
that?
I've never noticed it on any watch I've had.
Yeah.
That would be horrible.
Don't start.
Yeah, it would be.
Don't start looking.
um, yeah, and I think if you have to go over your watch with a fine tooth comb, I think the beauty of Grand Seiko is the fact that chances are you're not going to find anything under the dial or some rough finishing or anything like that. I mean, there is always the possibility, but chances are you're going to be okay. Which is why Grand Seiko is gaining popularity, I think, for the attention to detail. But um, generally, I believe that if you loop your watch and there's a really tiny bit of rough finishing or something going on, I think that's acceptable. Say with something that is below the $10,000 mark, maybe. I don't know. Do you guys have a tolerance of acceptability when it comes to luxury pieces? I know when it's like budget pieces, of course we accept rough finishing and stuff like that, but um when it comes to something like when you hit the Grand Seiko threshold, um would you be disappointed if there was slightly rougher finishing? I know my Zenith El Primero did. It didn't bug me too much, but I'll throw it out to you, Clayton. Do you think that rough finishing on the higher end is a big issue, or
It's not necessarily for me. I'm not really looking at, my watch as a loop
yeah,
daily or that often or ever, really. I don't
yeah,
even have a loop though, never. So yeah, it's not really a big deal to me. Now, if it's visible on the case or, on the bracelet or, I've talked about the Omega bracelet. I like to wear my bracelets tight, so the sharp edges on that bothered me. I think
yeah,
from a my neighbor who I helped, it's his first luxury purchase. I'm going to talk about this on the podcast this week in sort of sentimental watches, but he's in his 60s and he just bought. I helped him through Toppers get his Omega Seamaster Professional's first like luxury watch, and he had to send it back the next day because one of the buttons on the clasp was stuck, wouldn't work.
wow,
He's bummed, and that's disappointing because it's the first time he's spent upwards of $5,000 on a watch. And I might contact that Tog's terrible about it, but she's going to hook him up. They're taking care of him. So, but it's just one of those things that happens. But
yeah,
that would
wow.
bother me.
Yeah, that would. How about you guys? Do you guys have a tolerance for slightly rougher finishing on the higher end?
I would say I don't use the loop often either, but I do use it. The two watches in particular that I see are impeccable even under loop are the Grand Seiko and the Longa. The Longa,
Yeah,
oh my
Mm.
god, the Longa. You can just go deep and deep into it if you want. Okay, I felt like I could have gone to sleep with the loop on the dial. But the case back finishing, everything, I think for higher end, high horology pieces, definitely. I don't think for tool watches, not necessarily
yeah,
because you're going to scratch it, like Tudor, even the Speedmaster, the Doxa that I have. I think those things, I know I'm going to probably scratch the clasp and everything. I do like to see at least the case and the bezels aligning and uh, being at least initially perfect,
yeah,
and then
Yep.
everything else after that is my fault.
yeah,
uh,
yeah. Well said. How about you, Keith? Would you be bummed if you went and bought the Grand Seiko Winter, and the 12 o'clock marker had a slight nick on it that you
Oh
could
yeah,
only
for
see
sure.
through a loop?
I'm with Kevin S. What he said too. I was thinking the same thing. If I can't see with my naked eye, I'm good.
Yeah,
And my rule is I will never look at one of my watches with a loop because I don't want to know the imperfections. I want to say One of the women on 10 and 2 looked at her Grand Seiko and found a smudge on one of the indices after looking at it on a loop, and it like ruined it for her, if I'm
Oh, really?
remembering that correctly. So
Yeah.
I'd like to just avoid that if possible.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I've yeah, I saw really rough finishing on the underside of the seconds hand or the chronograph seconds hand on my Zenith El Primero, and it bugged me for a while. But then I realized, hey, this really isn't that big of an issue because it's on the underside, and secondly, I had to use a loop to see it. So yeah, it's to
Yeah,
me,
I wouldn't be bothered with anything under the side, like even on the case back. Like if
yeah,
it's a closed case back or underside of any hands, I actually don't look at that stuff.
yeah,
Yeah.
Anything that's visible is where I put this thing.
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, so I guess we're all in agreement. But that said, if you are really concerned with this kind of thing, that is perfectly fine. Because some people really like uh, perfection and kind of like a man-made perfection, right? Which is really really difficult or impossible. But the illusion of man-made perfection is something really alluring. So I don't blame you if you really want it to be perfect, even under a loop, even under a macro lens. So
I
don't.
can slowly understand why you are liking Grand Seiko more and more now,
Yeah,
because I don't see any other brand that can do that. I don't think even like Rolexes or Omegas. I don't think it's perfect. They like under a loop you can see imperfections.
yeah,
Definitely.
yeah.
Grand
I
Seiko, it seems like for the money you get a great dial, great
yeah,
case, and the polishing is almost like you said, man-made perfection.
yeah. And that's the thing with my Grand Seikos, the ones that I've owned, and I've owned a few. None of them have had any blemishes to my eye, at least. They've been pristine, like perfect, and that's mind blowing. Like, especially because when I flipped a lot, you always think in the back of your mind, "Oh, I'm gonna get the, the odds are against me now. I'm gonna get that one that's gonna have that blemish." But it hasn't happened yet, thankfully. So, um, let's jump into the chat. Kevin was mentioning that would bug him as well. Guessing that would be the dust on the dial. I don't think there's any watch enthusiast who that would not bug. Um,
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Mark from Long Island Watch, he was, I don't know if defending is the right word, but he was kind of, I can't think of a better word than defending Seiko sometimes having misaligned chapter rings and the misaligned bezel and all that. But he did say anything under the crystal, dust wise is unacceptable, which I would think would always apply no matter what the cost of the watch is.
yeah, I would think at that point, misaligned bezel, misaligned chaptering would be concerning as well. I know Pete is Pete from Not So Obvious Watches is a proponent for the fact that we're looking at this all wrong. Seiko's values are different from our values, and he believes, you're not going to get this level of finishing, this level of beauty from a watch without without paying that much more money if you want the precision as well. So you're kind of sacrificing precision in place for beauty and uh, finishing. So uh, while I agree about maybe movement accuracy and that level of precision, maybe I'll kind of give that to him. But when it comes to misaligned chaptering, that's going to stare at you all day. I feel like that should be part of Seiko's values if it's not. And
Mhm.
yeah, I don't think it's not. I mean, I don't know anyone at Seiko. I don't know very many Japanese people, but yeah, from what I would think, you want everything to line up, right? If you create a work of art, you want it to resemble what you wanted it to look like. So anyway, that's
Yeah.
my rant.
Seeing those watches yesterday was getting, $3,100 watch, and it was, didn't line up just like a samurai or a turtle. I mean, come on, at that price point, and then the Sharp Edge GMT, the the 2 and the 4, it wasn't aligned on
Yeah,
the fixed bezel. Yeah, both of them that I saw there, the white dial and the green dial, not aligned, and that would bother me because
yeah,
it's a fixed bezel and you can't do much about that.
yeah.
So
Yeah, and I had the I don't know what it is in US dollars, but I had like the 7,000 Canadian dollar SLA 037. So this was like their flagship 62 mass reissue,
yeah,
ever brilliant steel. I had it on my channel. If you go back and check the reviews, pardon how unprofessional it is. Not that my videos are professional now, but um, if you go back and check the review, that one was misaligned as well. So it was really kind of a shock to my system at that point. You know, once you hit that 7,000 Canadian dollars, you're still not aligned. So, you know, Pete has a point. Seiko doesn't value this alignment thing, but I
so
think it's a problem.
this one's aligned, but and I noticed this on the 023 as well. It feels like you could scrape off the loom on the triangle at the 12. There's nothing like protecting it. So it feels like
Right.
if you were to bump it and scrape it, it would scrape off. It's odd. I noticed
Yeah.
that on the 023 as well.
Yep. I
Yep.
noticed it when I had the 2.3 as well. It's just painted on there.
Yep.
Um, I would I would hope they put some sort of layer on top of it, maybe Dia shields,
Yeah.
something.
I'm not going to test it, but
Yeah.
hopefully.
Yeah. Derek says, I'm thinking to get a date just because I don't want to spend 30K plus on a day date.
You could also get a Seiko turtle, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's they're kind of, I mean, I guess they're similar, but they're really different at the same time.
I know, it was just, yeah. If it's the
No,
money,
I wasn't talking about the turtle. I meant
I love a turtle. I love the
yeah.
the one I have.
No, I meant the date just and the day date. I feel like
Uh, they're similar in some sense. It's just that um I was thinking of the day date. I'm still thinking of the day date, but the day just, they're similar vibes. When did you just say it's like the little more high end day just like with the
yeah.
presidential bracelet and the day, sorry.
Yeah. I don't know. I always get a different vibe or a different feeling when I look at a day date versus a date just. When I see a date just, I'm not into it at all. Date justs, except maybe the blue fluted dial, like the honeycomb dial, the blue honeycomb dial. I really
Mhm.
love that
Yeah.
model, but really not into date just. But when I see a day date, I really like the day date. So to me, the date just and the day date are give me completely different feelings, and so I associate them differently. But
I'm with you. Exactly the same
yeah,
opinion on that. Yep.
And most of the date, well, not all of them. The day dates are all precious metals.
yes,
Yeah.
Like that gives a completely different
Yeah.
vibe to it.
yeah,
If I made a day date out of steel, it might look a little similar to a date just. Most of the date just I've seen are steel.
yeah. I mean, are there any precious metal date justs? I guess so, right?
I think there is. The panel can tell me otherwise,
Yeah.
but I feel um, I've only owned one steel one without the fluted bezel, and that was
Yeah.
really nice too. But
Just so you guys in the chat know, well, I'm not a Rolex expert. I
I'm
never
not
owned
either.
one.
Yes.
yeah, I've owned a couple, but I'm not definitely not,
Yeah.
Yeah,
especially date just and date.
Yeah. Exactly.
yeah. Um, Kentucky Man 30 says, put my GS SPGR 261 under a macro lens often, and it's flawless. Yep, I hear you. Caliber White QG, that's very disappointing, especially for a guy buying his first luxury watch. Yeah, I think he's talking
Oh,
about
my
the
neighbor.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
He's
really
bummed.
funny that well, not funny, but when Toran and I were visiting my AD, the Seamaster 300 Professional got stuck on his wrist because the button got stuck.
Hmm.
Um,
Yep.
so they had to go upstairs to the watchmaker, and he had to remove a link to get the watch off his wrist. So
Crazy. Yeah. It
yeah, I
must be
don't.
it's a recurring problem then. Yeah, it's he got it and so he, not to go on too long about this, but he cashed in his stock his parents got him when he's 18 and he cashed it out now at 63, 64. and
Wow.
use some of that money to buy the special watch. He has a few watches, and we always talk about watches. And he was super excited. He was over the moon, and he was pretty disappointed. Yeah, I don't think he's not a neurotic watch nut like us whatsoever. So I think if it were one of us, I know I would be probably losing it. But he's pretty calm about it. I think I'm a little more upset about it than he is, to be honest. But still, he was really bummed. And that for your first luxury, you're dropping a lot of money on a watch, and I think his wife needed some convincing and all that. And then this happens. It's just it'll
Yeah.
it'll all get sorted out, though. I'm confident of that.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I'm sure. Underachieving watch collector says he's scared of using a loop on his watches.
Me too.
Yeah, right with you there. I have a loop here, and it only comes out to look at Grand Seikos. Does say Grand Seiko on it, so I'm petrified of looking at my Omegas under the loop.
So you don't bring it to the AD when you venture over there, then?
No.
It's not too bad to look at your Speedmaster under, Sanjay. I've done it on the Ed White, and it's not too bad.
Yeah, I will eventually. Once
I'm trying to make you overcome your fear of using the loop on a not Grand Seiko watch.
Yeah. Jiz Ninja says, honestly, it bothers me a lot if I were comparing it to something else in the price range. Yeah, I hear you. He's, I believe, talking about finishing issues. Very, very minor finishing issues. Yeah, for sure. If you fall asleep with the loop on, you wake up fully steampunk. I can't see a date wheel even with the Cyclops, so I'm not all of that bothered by minor stuff. Wow, okay. I'm glad you addressed this because rough finishing on an Omega Speedmaster was a major complaint of Bruce Willis's character. You got me there. Got me there.
I like how Oime made it very serious and then ending it off with a zinger.
Yeah. Don't you mean Die Hard in Space? Apollo 13? I thought that scene was in Die Hard, Appalachian Trail. Could be mistaken. Joe Sylvia says, I've been lucky not to have alignment issues with my Seikos, with any Seikos I've owned. Wow, that's good. It's great.
Yeah.
Honestly, watch collectors can be a bit crazy. They want a flawless watch, but they also want to wear, use, and don't worry about scratches. Yeah, I mean, that's the beauty of it, or the poetry of it, the romance of it, is that you get this perfect thing, and then it ages with you, right?
Marks of ownership.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
And it's
And
the same thing with cars, right? Like when you buy a new car, you want to make it looks, there's got to be perfect paint and everything.
yeah,
And if you scratch it, you did it. Like you could.
Yeah.
yeah.
You want to buy it perfect and then mess it up.
What money? Yes, the infamous 7,000 Canadian dollar threshold for good finishing. No, that's the threshold for Seiko's bezel alignment. Day date is always fresh in the middle, so it makes it more premium. Yeah. Leo's saying the president bracelet is also tempting for me, even if I'm a strap guy. Yeah, for sure. Matthew Davis says, I love my gold. I love two-tone. Full. I mean, I do like the look of a full gold watch. I don't think I'd like the look of it on me, but I can appreciate it from a distance. But two-tone I really like. I don't know what it is about it. Like the beautiful two-tone Explorer.
Jody had one on today. Mr. X is I don't know if you caught that video, but yeah.
I saw that.
Yeah.
It's in my watch later. Okay, so let's move on. I always get stuck in the chat, but All right. David S says, I obsess over accuracy. I'm more likely to not buy a watch I like if the movement isn't cost certified. I'm thinking my next watch will be a Grand Seiko 9F quartz. I find that really interesting because mechanical watches inherently aren't accurate. So I've always, I mean, when I first started, I wanted it to be accurate. My mechanical watch, when I first started in the hobby, I wanted it to be under 5 seconds accurate. But now it doesn't really bug me unless if it's like a minute's off, or a minute off a day, and really erratic. But I do like the fact that he is kind of acknowledging that and going toward the fact that he needs to get a 9 of quartz, which is one of the more accurate, high accuracy quartz movements available. Um, but yeah, are you guys really concerned about accuracy? Maybe we'll start with Keith this time. Keith, do you have?
I
Uh,
do test it when I first get a watch, and then I forget about it.
yeah,
And if when I got my Hamilton, it was like 17 seconds fast a day, which I thought was kind of a lot. So I brought that in and had that. I'm blanking on the word now. Regulated. Otherwise, I don't really care.
yeah. How about you, Clayton?
I use it. I'm way more lax on it now. When I got my Weiss back, I just happened to notice the day after setting it, it was like 2 minutes fast, and I thought, oh gosh, so it was I had to get it demagnetized. But I usually don't obsess over it. If I happen to check it and it's off, then I might a little bit. But no, I usually just set it and forget it kind of deal. So yeah, I used to really kind of keep track. And I don't have a time graph or anything, just phone apps, all that kind of stuff, or
Yeah,
time.gov. But yeah, I've been pretty relaxed on that for the most part. But if like I check my Submariner just to make sure it's where it is, and I mean that thing is just it's crazy. I think at one point I'd worn it for 21, or I've had it running for 21 days, and it lost like 5 seconds. I mean,
wow.
it's just insane. So,
Yeah,
but yeah, if that were running, out of spec, I'd be pretty upset about that. But
yeah.
yeah,
Well, so in a hypothetical scenario, let's say it was running at plus 4 seconds a day. Would you go through the grief of getting it to a Rolex service center to try and regulate it?
no, when I bought my Explorer, it was running at that, and
Okay.
I just left
Yeah.
it alone. Yep.
Yeah, me too. I Even though it would bug me that it's out of spec, um, I would, I would forget about it pretty quick.
If it was and then wasn't, I think then I sort of kind of maybe get a little more upset.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. How about you, Bobby?
I really don't care about accuracy,
Yeah,
especially if it's a mechanical watch.
right.
That's why we love mechanical watches, right? Because of the inaccuracy, and
Yeah.
we're happy with it. Um, like my favorite Speedmaster I own is not, well, I shouldn't say it's my favorite, but the one I like to wear the best is Ed White, and it has a caliber 321, which historically is romantic and went to the moon, but it is in it more inaccurate than the one you have, Sanjay, with the 3861. But that being said, it's just the beauty of the movement and how the column wheel works and all that stuff. So I actually don't check the accuracy of my watches that much. The
Yeah.
only one I actually do is the Grand Seiko, the
I knew
the
you were gonna
Sprint
say
Drive.
that. Yeah.
It's just like because everybody highlights how accurate it is, and it is pretty accurate.
Yeah.
But again, long time ago, there were so many apps out there to check accuracy. Then I realized like it's always going to be somewhat inaccurate, right? Plus or minus a couple of seconds.
Yeah.
Why go through that grind of you know calculating it? Usually, if after like 4 or 5 years of ownership, then I look at accuracy again, maybe down the road. So some of the Speedmasters can lose a couple more seconds, but other than that, I don't. I look at more of the dial case movement, not the accuracy of the movement, but what type of movements inside in the bracelet than the accuracy.
Yeah. Yeah, we're kind of like the gearheads in the car community, right? We like or a gearhead would like the manual transmission in a car. And the reason they're there is for the feel of it, the romance of driving a manual transmission car. You're never gonna beat a Tesla with a motor which has infinite torque or constant torque, and you're not gonna beat a
The
double
Porsche
clutch.
or
Yeah,
the Porsche PDK, right? I think that's
right.
supposed to be better than the manual.
Yeah,
Um, um, you're right. That's absolutely right. I think and again, a lot of people like the manual wind watches better than automatic because of the feel and
yeah.
interaction with the watch.
Yeah, and so inaccuracy is inherent, and the sooner you make peace with that, I think the more you can enjoy your mechanical timepieces. I know I'm never going to outshift a double clutch Lamborghini with my granny shifting, but I'm going to have way more fun. So,
Yeah,
uh,
I think most of us buy these watches not for accurate timekeeping. We buy them for the artistry or
yeah,
whatever it might be. So I think, the more expensive you get, it's not about that. I mean, that's definitely an added bonus. We want them to be chronometer certified, but it's not something we obsess about because we just know they're going to keep pretty good time and look great doing it.
yeah. Derek was correcting us and letting us know that there is an all yellow gold Datejust reference 116238. There you go. Thanks, Derek. Dan, good to see you, man. Thanks for joining us. I know you joined us a while ago, but only just getting to you now. Fatal Fred said, took ages to get it back by 58 and finally got one last month. Congratulations, man. Then I noticed the bezel looked off. On closer inspection, the 6 o'clock index was also misaligned. Oof.
Mm,
Ah, that's a tough situation. What would you guys do?
I would try to give it back.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I would.
Because otherwise, my initial response would be to try and put up with it, but it would wreck the watch for me. Like I would start to hate that watch,
Yeah.
and even say I did sell it on later, I would hate that whole series of watches. If it would be like cancer. It would be incurable after a while. So yeah, get it looked after, get it fixed. It's it sucks, but
I'll probably not use the word cancer, but uh, I think
I meant
the
of the
Tu-
mind.
that's why I kind of like Omega versus Tudor. I would always lean towards Omega because I don't see that much of those type of issues. I know that the Tudor GMT has that. Oh, one of my friends had the date wheel having issues with the GMT, and sometimes some people have had issues with the bezels on the beam. I rarely see that with the Seamasters. I know that people have a hard time gripping it and all that stuff, but not an issue per se. Uh, I don't know if anybody else in the panel have had issues with the Omega, like the die watches, or
My white dial S&P was misaligned. It was at 12 o'clock, it was fine, but at the 30, it was slightly off. And I remember noticing it in pictures before I noticed it. Actually, I took a picture of it and then I noticed because sometimes you can pick up on that stuff in pictures more than you can just looking at your wrist. Like, oh wow. And yeah, it wasn't, camera trick or just the angle. It was it was a little off. Never really bothered me actually all that much.
Yeah.
But in this Black Bay situation, what's the typical return? Like, when can you return? Usually the return windows are pretty short, right? So if it's been a week or two, you might be just out of luck at that point, unless.
Well,
Uh,
you'd have to send it in for a warranty,
Yeah,
I would
you
think.
can do that.
Yeah.
yeah, I just wonder if it's within their specs. Like what's within their tolerances? Like maybe a slightly off bezel is fine to them. I don't know.
Yeah. I I don't know. No, I don't think so when it comes to. I mean, the Swiss watch industry is known for precision, so I don't think they'd try to pull that trick. That said, we just heard about Ulysse Nardin and their really sloppy date alignment. I don't know if you guys
Mm.
saw Federico's video.
a lot
Mhm.
of
Yes.
the gray market dealers also have a 3 day window period, Keith. So the first day when you get it from a gray market dealer, you should look at everything.
Yeah, yeah.
For 72 hours. Yep.
That's a fast turnaround. Yeah.
Yeah, that's if you can, I would say take a picture of it as soon as you get it, even in the shop, so you can prove that it was like. bought it. Maybe you didn't notice it right away. I've done that before, walked out of the shop and then noticed something. But yeah, it might be smart to and take a picture of the shop before I actually paid for it. Ended up saving me in that situation. So that can help you as well.
Mhm.
Yeah. The weird thing with my watch here is every picture I take of it, it looks misaligned. So with my Seiko, it looks misaligned in every picture I take, but when I'm looking at it dead on, it's perfectly aligned.
Yep.
So that's a weird thing going on there. I don't understand.
I think it's like
Definitely parallax, but
light reflections and angles and yeah, because I've noticed that with this too. And that loom arrow at the 12 o'clock looks like it looked all like blotchy and funky in pictures. And I was like, oh boy. And then I looked at it, I was like, no, it looks great. So I don't know. It's just, yeah, must be just reflections or something.
yeah, yeah. Um, Mezzanine was saying -4 to +6 is COSC. Yes, but Rolex certifies it to -2 +2, which is
Yeah.
why I posed to Clayton if he was okay with +4.
Yeah,
That's
I was okay with that. It came like that. I knew he bought it from an authorized dealer and all that. It was all good.
yeah,
That's one of my petty obsessions is too much writing on the dial.
yeah,
Oh
same.
yeah.
The Rolex Superlative Chronometer, I can't deal with that. That's why I love the Moser. It just says Moser,
Yeah,
or Verto. It just says one thing, and I like cleaner dials.
yeah, yeah, for sure. Would you, if there was just, well, I guess you already answered my question because you said if there was just Moser, you're okay with that. I
Like
know,
like even JLC, the Reverso I own doesn't even have JLC on it. It just says
yeah,
Reverso,
Hmm.
and it's so simple and so clean. I think the Grand Seiko just says Grand Seiko.
yeah,
Maybe underneath is in it, the subtle thing is Japan made or something. But those are much more, and that's why I love the older vintage watches of Rolex, which is two liners or one line.
yeah,
So much more simpler times. I think nowadays everybody wants to show off. Tudor wants to show off what they have. I mean, you could put it in the case back. I'm perfectly okay with that, but not on the dial, please, please. The dial is for checking the time.
yeah,
They have Casio-itis, have to put every single function printed on the dial.
yeah. I can't understand the Pelagos or Pelagos. The 5 lines of text. It's unbelievable. I don't know what they were thinking.
Sooner or later, it'll be like chapter numbers, chapter one. uh,
Yeah,
I'm hoping that they make it
See
better.
case back for more.
Exactly. Dot dot dot.
Plus, if you're fitting all that text on, it's kind of hard to read for me, at least.
yeah,
So it not only does it have a lot of text with a lot of information, I can't even see it anyway. So
yeah. It's funny.
I don't mind the text as long as it's just symmetrical. Dial symmetry is one of my petty obsessions. So that matters. Like the Marine Master here has four lines, but the Prospects X and the 300-meter are sort of symmetrical. It actually looks like a Christmas tree or something. I quite like it actually.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I know a lot of people don't like the Prospects X, but I really don't mind it. It
I don't
makes a
mind
nice
it.
triangle on the
Yeah,
dial. So
yep.
yeah. Kevin was making it funny here. I could dust a Lambo with my Ford Focus ST, and here comes the watch boxes and a trip to the interior. That's a good one. Um, Rob was saying my PO was misaligned, Planned Ocean, and it lost a bracelet screw in a week. Whoa,
Wow.
that's yeah, that's
I
interesting.
I don't know. So when I rebought my D8 at an authorized dealer, he sized up the bracelet for me and he put Loctite in the screws. I don't know. Is that something all authorized dealers do? He certainly did it. He warned me to, not get it wet for a couple days and all that. I thought that was pretty cool. I'd never experienced that before.
Some EDs are a bit more detailed in that way.
Hmm.
Watchfinder actually recently did a video about always trying to put Loctite
Hmm.
on your bracelet screws. I I have not had an issue with that. I feel Omega kind of overdoes it with the Loctite. So yeah, I mean, once you break the seal, you kind of broken the seal.
Yeah.
But I've never had a screw back out. The good thing with Omega's infernal bracelet attachment system is they have two screw heads and a bar that goes in the middle. So when your bracelet is flexing and vibrating, the screw heads are way less likely to back out than a full screw that goes in and threads in kind of like a Tudor or Rolex screw. It's much less likely to back out, while a Tudor Rolex screw could back out because there's more surface area, and yeah, because the Omega has more parts, it's less likely. So that's one benefit of that horrendous system. Grand
And
Seiko does it too. That's a really
I have
uh,
trouble with the Grand Seiko bracelets. The screws are so tiny. I
yeah,
can't,
Mm.
I just can't do it. They're so small.
yeah. They're they're like the head of a needle.
Yeah.
It's incredible. Same with the Omega, except the SMP 300M that has a nice
Yeah.
fat like
Yeah.
screw head. Yeah,
Doxa does it right too, I think.
yeah. I know a lot of people really hate pins and collars, but I like them. I really like pins and collars. They're so secure, so easy to deal with. As long as if you have a hammer and a punch and a holder for your bracelet,
Yep.
I really like pins and collars. Um,
Once you get your system down, it's fine. Getting there is very frustrating. It was in my case anyway.
yeah,
Once I kind of got it down, then okay, I can now. But learning how to do it and getting there can be really frustrating.
yeah, yeah, for sure. Nilo is saying put a QR code on the dial. Yeah, I don't know how
It'll
people
happen.
would feel about that.
Yeah, that will probably happen.
Yeah. Derek, when I sold my Pelagos, it was the third best day of my life. That's so sad.
Wow.
He's
Oh
honest.
God.
Yeah. 5 lines of text on a dial is good toilet reading material. Oh, you guys are great. Um, Nate says, speaking of text on a dial, the Alpinist would look so much better with Alpinist versus automatic. Yes, I agree. I have one of the reissues, the SJE 083. Um, I don't mind it, but it would look way better with Alpinist on there instead of automatic.
I agree.
All right. Wait. Okay. I had to make sure that was a safe comment, but Ormani is saying I heard a rumor that Bobby Legs canceled Sunday night Watch Soup to give Sanjay more time to lay out his clothes for the week. But
Well, money's
Watch
well,
Soup is
money's
not.
throwing threes right now. Play Steph
Yeah.
Curry.
Watch Soup is still going on. So my clothes are all laid out. We're good to go. All right, let's get to the next one. Maybe we'll do one more. Um, Lyndon actually had an interesting fact about spring bars, the quick release spring bars. Um, he said you don't need to use wire cutters to pull out the bolt. They actually are press fitted, so you can yank them out if you try it hard enough. So that's interesting. I actually did try it with a couple of spring bars here that I had lying around, and they did just come out. So yeah, don't need to cut the bolts off. Just yank really hard. I don't know if that will damage your strap though. But yeah, because I had to put a lot of pressure, and it was already off my strap. So yeah, bolt cutters might be or wire cutters might be safer. Um, let's see. Well, Jonathan was mentioning this is not really a pet peeve, but my take on quick release spring bars is I'm notoriously bad with the spring bar tool. I'd rather have a cutout than every time I change my strap, I continue to mangle it near the edges because I'm jamming the tool into it, trying to find the spring bar and fiddling with it until it's out.
That's why I like Richemont, like Cartier and Vacheron. I believe a couple others are doing the quick release system,
Yeah,
toolless, and I think that's maybe the thing of the future. And they're making money off of it because you can't change. They have to use their own straps, their own stuff. So I think that may be the thing for the future for at least the big brands.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah. Good point. But yeah, that's a really good point too. If you're not too familiar with taking out watch straps, then quick release spring bars might be worth it. My stance on it was that I don't like quick release spring bars because you're introducing a failure point for your strap. So I really don't like quick release spring bars unless if they're done really well. And also because I have a tiny wrist, the bolt always shows through the lugs,
Mm.
and that drives me bonkers. So generally, I take out this quick release spring bar out of a strap, but um, oil money distracted me here. Spring bar pet peeve, boy, did you come to the right place. Anyway, not to belabor the spring bar point like we did last week. Um, okay, I kind of had a quick question. If we had a couple of minutes to spare, I was gonna say, um, kind of a test. What is your favorite watch in your collection right now? I know it sounds like a question everyone asks everyone else, but um, I kind of want to hear it from you guys. If you guys had to pick one favorite watch in your collection, what would it be? Bobby?
The Silver Snoopy 2 Speedmaster is my favorite watch. The
Okay.
best wearing watch is different, but my favorite watch never goes away from my collection.
Yeah. How about you, Clayton?
Oh boy, favorite watch right now, like today, this
Yeah.
instant.
Yeah. This instant.
Well, I just got this SLA, and I love wearing it. I'm going to wear this until I don't want to anymore. Boy, if I had to pick one, the Weiss is always a favorite.
Yeah.
And I've put it on a NATO strap now, and my affinity for the watch has grown. It covers up that beautiful case back, but I'll take it off once in a while just to look at it, especially when I'm winding.
Yeah.
That's usually when I do it. But it's a bigger watch. It's the lugs, and they're straight lugs. It's like 49, and I don't know. The watch just appears to be a little bit smaller on NATO on my wrist, and that's just magic. So yeah, the Weiss. But right now, today, the SLA 053 is going to get a lot of wrist time here coming in the coming days.
Cool. How about you, Keith?
That's a tough one. It's between my Hamilton and my Laurier. Hamilton's just old trusty. It's just like I probably wear that the most, probably because it's the most comfortable day to day.
So the Oris isn't even in the running here.
I used to say I don't know because of the
Thickness.
the awkward specs or the thickness and the heaviness of it.
Yeah.
And I do sometimes think it's slightly. I sometimes think I prefer like the size up than what I have. Even though it's my favorite dial, certainly. It might be my
Yeah.
favorite dial that I've seen. At least that wasn't a Grand Seiko.
I feel next year you're going to say your favorite watch is going to be the Grand Seiko Winter. I still have that trust that you're going to buy that one.
Yeah, well, I've been having conversations with people about, and I'd like to hear your guys' input. How do you know? Like, I don't know I'm comfortable wearing a watch that costs that much. Not because it's like a financial burden or anything, just because I'd worry about just having it on my wrist and, could I use other things with the money or what, blah, blah, blah. And so like, I don't know how to figure out how much is too much to spend on a watch and if I'd be comfortable with it. I think until I try one out, maybe.
I think when I got the Silver Snoopy, and that's my second luxury watch ever I bought. It was there. I thought it was the most beautiful thing I saw, and I thought and that's how many years now? 2015 it got released. 2015, 6 years now. I think the worth per wear,
Hmm.
the long run, I think
Yeah.
is going
Yeah.
to even out. If you, but let's say, for example, I'm just hypothetically speaking, if you buy the Grand Seiko Winter, you wear it for like 7, 8 years, and you don't buy another watch. I don't think that's a
Right.
bad
Right.
this thing. You wear it
Like,
daily, or even like 5 days a week or 4 days a week. I think that's where the this thing, and I think it's going to keep its value too, just in case if you feel like you want
that's
to
true.
this thing. So that's where it's unlike a car. Depends on what you get, but like a car, you might not lose at as much percent depending on the brand.
Yeah. I think of Clayton when you hit your Explorer on the counter.
Yeah.
Like, I just trying to picture what would my reaction be if I had that happen to me wearing the Grand Seiko? Would I be able to take that okay or not?
I was
Because
just
yeah,
mad I didn't have a better story. I had a good
yeah,
date. It was
yeah.
just such a swing in my arm going to get a midnight snack.
But you, yeah, you seem,
I still got 2 times what I paid for. I got double what I paid for when I sold it. So with
yeah.
Rolex, you can kind of wear them, and I wore that thing a bunch. Like I just did not worry about it. I just wore it and enjoyed it, and that's how I find I enjoy watches. The more I don't tend to sell my more expensive watches for the most part, so I'm more comfortable wearing those about than I am a watch I'm on the fence
Mm,
about that I might sell. Um, so yeah, ironically, though, the more expensive watches are the ones I sort of I wouldn't say wear with reckless abandon, but don't baby as much because I feel like they're
mm.
keepers.
Yeah. I I think Kevin here has some really good advice. He says you need to buy a few watches in the 1K to 2K range, move up slowly. 6K seems like nothing after that. I don't know if that's it's true. What he's saying is true.
Yeah.
But
Um,
you might be spending more than 6K if you're going up slowly.
yeah.
Yeah,
Like you're buying up
exactly.
multiple things. Like the other thing a lot of people do is they remove the bracelet and put it on a strap, so you have less things to ding on,
Hmm.
and so you have a less likelihood of surface area. Just your watch head. It's like if you buy the Grand Seiko, you just remove the bracelet, put it on a strap, so that
Yeah.
you feel more comfortable. Because that's most likelihood is going to be the bracelet getting scratched than the watch head.
Yeah.
Uh, can you highlight Ashley E's comment? Oh, my dog's going nuts right now. That's my wife. So
Oh.
Oh, really?
she says I won't be able to handle it, which
That's hilarious.
I think that trumps all.
but she encourages me to, buy whatever because she knows I'm cheap most of the time.
I feel like
With
you
that,
need to get. I feel like your love for the Oris might, before you go into another thing, is you have to make a decision on your Oris.
Well, it's already
Yes.
dead.
yeah, yeah. Well, yeah. Well, we'll see. I'm curious to see how much I could get for it, but I think Kevin S's advice is interesting because usually you hear the opposite, where someone, I bought too many in the 1K to 2K range, or too many affordable watches, or whatever, and I wish I just would have went for that piece, the more expensive piece sooner, or whatever watch I wanted. So
That's what I would go, Keith. I would say,
yeah,
like, if you're not really happy with the, like, because you're going solo, you're gonna pay, like, let's say you get 3 or 4 watches, you're already paid 8K. Then you're thinking 6K. What? Because I think when you get a Grand Seiko or whatever watch, if you think it's flawless, that's probably the watch.
right.
It's
I think if that's your strategy, you have to just buy smart and use buy to save. That's what I've talked about that before. Random Rob has done that. If you want to buy some of those watches, that's fine. Make sure you get them at great prices, and you won't take a huge hit if you want to sell them and then use them to get your Grand Seiko.
and Keith, I just the winter one, because I don't know. This is I'm just using the Grand Seiko again as an example. Like on David SW right now, it's still the same retail price it's being sold at on the gray market.
Oh, okay,
So
yeah.
it's been I don't know how many years, 2 years now, Sanjay, that it's been
Yeah.
released. The winter.
Just before
Yeah,
the pandemic.
So
I don't know why that is, because I think it's more. Do you think it's because it's American only release? I know it's eventually going to be released worldwide, it seems, but since maybe other people have a hard time getting it, maybe that's why it holds its value right now. I don't know.
I think the winter and the spring are the really in demand watches. I don't think the fall and the
Summer.
fall summer are being sold at near retail. It's being sold at a much higher discount. That's
Yeah.
got to be a reason for that, right? So that's, I think, the demand for it, and I think, let's say 4 or 5 years down the road, I don't still think that it'll still be in production. Maybe in the next couple of years, but I don't think forever.
Yeah,
It's a
that's true.
limited run.
That's really interesting too, because the spring and the winter are the two titanium pieces. The fall and summer are steel, and you'd think more people would go for those. And those are the high beat watches as well. So the fully mechanical watches, and spring and winter are the spring drives. So it's really interesting that these are the hot ones, and the mechanical, the ones that the everyday watch enthusiast, Swiss watch enthusiast would gravitate towards is not the one that's in demand. Even though the summer green dial is beautiful, beautiful texture on the dial, the fall blue dial, so good.
Hmm.
But well, the only, because I will only was going to get one Grand Seiko. I wanted a spring drive, so
Yeah,
I can. That's
that's
the
true.
reason why I went that way. In the
Yeah.
winter, also probably a lot of people are going that way too.
Does that picture on the case back bother you at all?
Yes,
Yeah, it bothers
that's
me a
the
lot, actually.
only drawback. But again, you don't look at your case back as much as
True.
wear the watch. The only other question is how you feel with titanium. The
Yeah.
lightweight, like Sanjay was saying, a lot of people like the feel of steel. I'm not that type of person. I feel, I look at the dial color and the design more than, the feel per se. But that's just me. That's the thing that you have to decide. Again, hypothetically speaking.
Yeah.
um,
I think it's funny when watches are hard to, quote unquote, hard to find, like the spring. You go on Watchbox and there's like 7 of them.
yeah,
Not that hard to find.
yeah.
It's going to be
Well,
paying a premium for them.
that's the story of Rolex's life, right?
Yeah,
Yep.
You can
yeah.
find thousands of them, but for some reason they're going 2 times over list.
I went to that shop yesterday, and they have pre-owned Rolex there. They had a couple Daytonas. They had a Sky Dweller. Just pretty awesome to see those in person, because that's the only time I'm ever going to see one of those. So it's yeah, it was really cool. They let me handle them, and yeah, it's really neat to check them out. But they have them,
Yeah,
Hmm.
and they're in really good shape. So that leads you to believe that they're purchased and then sold to these guys.
yeah,
Yeah.
It's sad that we're living in a world where, regulars, like, these are produced in the millions, right? Or
yep,
or
Yeah.
hundreds of thousands, and you can't get them. That's, well, again, I'm out of the Rolex this thing. I don't own one anymore, but it used to be 4 or 5 years ago, not the story.
yeah. And that's the other thing with the Grand Seikos. They don't make that many, so they're still gonna be relatively scarce. Not that scarce, but relatively scarce. So I could see it holding value, especially as the hype seems to continue to grow with Grand Seiko for some reason. Um, so
And Grand Seiko is going up market too, so these things will
yeah,
probably be
Hmm.
more. Um,
Yeah, each new release is more and more expensive.
yep, by a few $100s, but it's sure. Like the SBGY 003 Canadian dollars again was 9,700, and the 007 is 10,000, so 10,900, I think. So
you're confusing us with this Canadian dollars, like
yeah, well,
so
$5,
9,700, 9,700 dollars.
$5 US, and then it went up to like $7 US.
But
Yeah,
it's going that the watch you have is pretty hard to get, Sanjay. You can't get it, right? You have to pay a
yeah.
premium for what you have too.
There's like I checked on Chrono 24 after Keith mentioned they were going at a premium, and there's like I think 5 or 6 there, so they're attainable. They're just
Mm.
egregiously priced now, which is crazy. Um, should be an accessible watch, but it's not.
Hmm.
Um, just want to highlight some of our friends' favorite watches here, real quick. Mezzanine is the Tudor Black Bay 58. Pale Horse, hey man, good to see you. Kentucky Man 30's favorite watch is the Zen U50, which he just recently got. No one is surprised that Leia's favorite watch is the Aichi 2. Incredible watch. Matthew's favorite watch is the Forest Green Panamatic Lunar. It's so nice. And Bruce's favorite watch is the Bluesy. Very cool.
Nice.
Um, I think Ashley mentioned it again. Did she mention it again?
I think that might be the same
No,
one.
that was, we already saw
But
that.
Sanjay's mentioning again though.
Yeah,
Smart.
you can't handle it, Keith.
Well, that's what's so interesting. Sorry, I keep going. I keep
Oh
talking.
no,
And
no.
we're over time here, but that was so interesting about what Jeff McMahon was saying on the Watchdog podcast. Is he was kind of like the anti going up the luxury ladder. He realized it just wasn't for him, but it took him to owning that to realize that. So
Yeah,
Yep.
I haven't seen his latest video. Is he like double backing now and going back to Tudor? I feel like
Oh no, he well, I didn't watch his video today, but he's made some. We'll just say I don't want to any spoilers for you, but yeah,
right.
he's making moves.
Okay,
Oh,
okay.
interesting.
Yeah.
I gotta watch that video. Yeah, this week was crazy because I was away with my family, and yeah, the content just keeps coming, so you can't keep up with it.
Yeah.
Sam's here as well. Good to see you, Sam. Hope you're doing well. He wants to get a spring drive sometime next year.
He's
For
also
sure.
got a Grand Seiko that's holding value pretty well.
Yes, the 221, especially with Grand Seiko going up market so quickly. The lower pieces, the ones that they started out with, like the 221, those are going to hold their value. So yeah, okay, guys. Well, not gonna not gonna push you guys anymore. Thanks so much for joining me this evening. It was a lot of fun chatting with you guys.
Of course.
Clayton, do you have anything to plug?
New podcast Monday morning. I don't know what it's going to be about just yet.
Yeah,
I have a few ideas, so yeah, Monday morning. Hopefully, hurricane depending. If we don't
right.
have
Yeah.
power, obviously there will not be one. And Peter asked what shop I was at. It's just a local place here in the Providence metro area in Rhode Island. But yeah, hope to have power and record a podcast and see you on Watch Soup tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Stay safe. I know I heard about the hurricane. I mean, as a person living in Miami, um,
Yeah.
we're used to it, but I think this is a pretty rare to have it up north. And hopefully it doesn't hit too hard on the shore.
It's been about 10 years. We had Irene and then we got some of Sandy, but we really haven't. We've had some, tropical storms and wind, but this sounds like it's going to really come right for us. So I think, boy, they were saying like 6 and rain. I think that's moved a little west, but we're still going to get, crazy wind. So
wow. Yeah, hopefully all goes well, and yeah, the best outcome possible. Um, Peter was asking what's on tap for Watch Soup tomorrow. Tomorrow we're going to be looking at Teddy B's video on watch sizes on wrists. He did a really good in-depth analysis on that. I was really impressed with that video.
yeah,
So
it's a good video.
yeah,
I'll save my opinions for
yeah, yeah,
tomorrow. I
yeah.
have some opinions on that. Yeah.
Yeah. We're also going to talk about the Jacquet scandal. So if you guys saw the
That was cool.
Watchbox Live video that came out last Monday night, go check it out. It was like a mob story. So really, really interesting story from Tim Mosso. Something to chat about. The other two videos evade me. Oh, Paul Thorpe and watch photography. That was
And
one.
then
What was the
average,
last one?
Oh yes,
yeah,
Average Joe
yes.
and Town Watch. They did a video together about rookie mistakes that they made, and I figured that would be a good jumping off point for us to talk about rookie mistakes we made. So should be a lot of fun. Hurricane permitting, we'll have a blast. If God forbid, if Clayton can't make it, then I will steer the ship. Hopefully, keep you guys entertained. But yeah, guys, check out Bobby's Instagram, Watch Medicine, and Keith is our friendly neighborhood non-watch social media guy. So
Leave me alone.
yeah. Well, thanks everyone for joining us. Hope you all have a great week. See you tomorrow at Watch Soup if you're there. Other than that, stay safe out there.
Thank
Take care,
you.
guys. Have a
Take
good night.
care.
Bye.
Bye.